Hello and welcome to My 2 Cents. I'm your rantin' rebel, and this video is going out to all my Facebook friends in time for election day, hoping to shed some light on these two candidates, as if we need any more light. I think the choice is clear that we need a strong leader. So let's unpack a few things and roll the tape.
We think about what's at stake in this election. Whoa, it's packed with some stuff.
I want to talk to you. Okay, I can first.
Brown brush. I mean,
I was waiting for you to say it. Love goodness.
you're like, how she always got to say you in the court.
You may clap. You're welcome. Pull out a Venn diagram. I love Venn diagrams, so I just do. I love Venn diagrams. I really love Venn diagrams. You know, the circles, right? 3 usually. Diagrams. I love Venn diagrams. You know the 3 circles? I love Venn diagrams. I really do. I love Venn diagrams. It's just something about those 3 circles and Venn diagrams. Venn diagram, Venn diagram, Venn diagrams, Venn diagrams, Venn diagrams. You know, circles, right? 3 usually.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack here, no? Kamala Harris, is this who you want for your leader? Come on! Anybody knows anything about Kamala Harris in the past? Mayor Willie Brown pretty much started her career. Yeah, her corrupt career. He got her elected as DA. And the only reason why he was doing that is because the DA that was in office was going after some of his friends and people that he was getting together cases on people that needed to be looked at. And Mayor Brown didn't like it. So what happened was he got Kamala Harris into that position of district attorney. And then what happened? Oh, magically, all the cases were dropped. That's the way his machine worked back then. He put people in places that he could manipulate the system, and he kept himself very abreast of all the corruption and how to take care of it. You can look all this stuff up. It's all there in the past, noted and highlighted.
She repeats these ridiculous platitudes where if you actually think about what she said, you realize that it doesn't make any sense.
About progress is to have the ability to have a vision and a belief and some faith in what can be, unburdened by what has been. What can be 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 unburdened by what has been. Of surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. And there was a specific case. And when I learned about the case, I worked behind the scenes to not only make sure that that transgender woman got the services she was deserving. So it wasn't only about that case. I made sure that they changed the policy in the state of California so that every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access to the medical care that they desired and need.
Does this rile anybody up? Because I'm about to tell you a story. I watched a show on TV, and it was about a guy that was pretended to be interested in this yacht. So he had been talking to the couple, the Hawks, and he made it all the way to talking about going for a test run. So he came there to do a test run on the boat with a big black guy, himself and another guy. When they got out there in the middle of the ocean, he forced them to sign something that gave him the, I think it was the contract. After he got all that settled away, he took the couple and they tied them to the anchor and they threw them over the boat and they sank. They died an incredibly horrible death by sinking to the bottom of the, basically drowning to death. Okay, a beautiful couple. If you ever see this article, look it up, the yacht killer. Okay, this guy went to jail. He got caught, went to jail. Now I read recently that when I saw this post with Kamala Harris doing the transgender surgeries for prison inmates, okay? Who's paying for that? Are we paying for that? Our taxpayers? Because why? You should pay for that by yourself. You shouldn't even be getting any rights in prison. You lose your rights, but you will get to change into a girl. So what happened was he said that when he was wanting to do this crime, he was trying to get money for a sex change operation. When he got to prison, he got that, okay? And you'll see the pictures here that I put up. This was the case that I think that Kamala Harris is talking about. So she would rather fight for prisoners who did a horrific act of throwing a couple over the boat tied to an anchor. Could you imagine drowning like that and seeing your spouse, you know, you're both dying like this? Horrific. And she's the one that's worried about the rights of criminals. That's your Kamala Harris.
The American people don't get fed on plans. She has been the vice president for 3.5 years. What she can't do, refuses to do, and has no ability to do is to say, I accomplished lower prices because she didn't. Or I accomplished lower housing prices because she didn't. Or I secured the southern border because she didn't do that. She has failed as vice president.
Do you have any plans to visit the border?
At some point, you know, we've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I mean, I don't understand the point that you're making.
When someone doesn't go to the border, when they are told they have been given that position of border czar, which there's recordings of that.
Madam Vice President, thank you. I gave you a tough job and you're smiling.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and for having the confidence in me. And there's no question that it's a challenging situation.
When you talk about somebody who's not doing the job, and then I look at the other guy who just doesn't stop. This guy has so much energy. He works. Isn't that someone you want to run the country? He's really an anomaly, this guy. He caused so much of a ruckus, but this guy is just a bulldozer. And sometimes that's what you need.
The border is secure.
The border is secure. The border is closed. The border is secure. The border is secure.
States will continue to enforce our laws and secure our border.
The border is, in fact, secure.
A record 221,000 migrants crossed into the U.S. last month.
Our border is secure. We believe certainly that the border is secure.
1,300 migrants a day.
We have taken unprecedented action over the past year and a half to secure our border and rebuild a safer and orderly process system.
This year is on pace to be the deadliest year for migrants crossing into this region of Texas in recent memory.
The border is secure. The border is secure, and the border is not open.
Crossings are still at an all-time high, with Border Patrol reporting more than 1.8 million apprehensions from October 2021 through July.
The border remains closed. It is not open. We are turning away the majority of adults, but
the border is secure. The border is closed.
So we are offering solutions. That's what the Biden-Harris administration has been doing since day one.
This is worse now than it was before.
A record number of migrants this year, and the total could surpass 2 million by the end of September.
We're certainly doing a lot more to secure the border.
We have a secure border.
And we have a process in place to manage migrants at the border.
A record surge of migrants in New York City.
Over 2 million
illegal immigrants crossing the southern border, an all-time record.
The border is secure. We agree that the border is secure.
Here's Will Scharf, former lawyer for President Trump, discussing how immigration is a threat to us all.
Democrat politicians are reflexively in favor of anything that gives illegal immigrants a pass for anything. That's why we have this absurd situation where you have illegal immigrants who re-enter the country over and over and over again, who commit at times heinous offenses, and yet they're not locked up, they're not deported, nothing really happens to them. The situation we're seeing in so many of our cities that are just being absolutely overrun by tens of thousands of illegal immigrants who bring along with them, cartels and crime and drugs and human trafficking and all of these terrible social ills. The left won't say a peep because in their worldview, the people who have the most rights, the people who are most deserving of government benefits, of government consideration, is illegal immigrants.
When you let in all these people and no vetting, and I don't have to go over everything that everybody has said. I'm sure if you're an informed voter, you should know the issue of immigration and how it's being destructive to our country. These people coming in have not been vetted. The cartels, the terrorist acts now. This is just common sense. When you bring all these people in and they expect the American dream of getting, a house, a car, a job, what do you think's going to happen?
I think this is a massive threat to Main Street America, just the sheer numbers of people coming across the border. There's a real terrorism concern with many of these folks from the Middle East who are coming across the border now. There's a real foreign policy and defense concern because you have a lot of military-aged men from China coming across the border. I think that just in every which way, this border issue, this illegal immigration issue, is one of the most important issues facing America today. And the left's unwillingness to engage at all, even when it's as stark an issue as illegal immigrants raping women, illegal immigrants abusing women, it just shows that the left they're unserious from a policy perspective. And I think their worldview is just fundamentally broken.
We don't have enough resources for that. So they're going to get desperate and rob and, everything leads to something like home invasions, carjackings, killings. We just signed this little contract with the devil, pretty much.
The Biden administration is desperate to avoid accountability for what it has done at the border. Under President Trump, the border was relatively secured. There were still illegal immigrants coming in, but it was an order of magnitude or two less than what we're seeing today. The Biden administration threw out the Trump administration's most successful policies at the border, and then saw the border flooded the way that we've seen. And with it, that wave brings crime, brings human trafficking, brings fentanyl, brings all of these issues. And in their haste to sort of cover up the situation that they've created.
Once these illegal immigrants come in and not vetted, and we don't know anything about them, then what happens? Then they commit a crime, and we have two choices. We could, under Kamala Harris, probably let them go free, right? And then under Trump, he will probably deport them. I don't think they should be sitting in our prisons and we pay for them again. But how many prisons, do we have enough room in the prisons? And do we want to keep building prisons? Do we want to have a landscape on our American continent here of prisons? There should be no reason why illegal immigrant criminals stay in this country. No reason. No reason. But yet, we have a border czar who decided that the border was safe. And she didn't do anything. She didn't go to the border. She didn't try to stop the border. And now she wants to turn the page and be a different candidate to what? She showed us 4 years of what she's going to do. And I don't have any faith she's going to change her ways in the future.
I want to speak about the fentanyl issue, though, just a bit. It's one of the most important issues facing America. But when we're talking about not securing the border, we're also signing on to a policy that has allowed our enemies to kill 100,000 Americans a year or more. I believe because the Biden administration, because the folks in Washington, D.C., because our political leadership doesn't have the political will to shut it down, to go after the cartels, to secure the border, to hold China accountable. And to me, it's beyond the pale. It's something that should outrage all Americans.
Think about what it does to a poor school teacher who's just trying to get by with what they have, who's trying to educate their kids, and then you drop in a few dozen kids into that school, many of whom don't even speak English. Do you think that's good for the education of the American citizens? No, it's not. So what really bothers me is when Kamala Harris talks about the southern border, she talks about how we need to be compassionate to illegal aliens. And I think we're a great country. We can be compassionate, and we ought to be compassionate, but our compassion has to start with our fellow citizens, the people who deserve to be in the United States to begin with. Take care of our own people and put American citizens first for a change. It's got to stop.
That's Joe Biden's Justice Department sending 24 armed agents to arrest a pro-life activist in front of his family. That's Joe Biden's IRS raiding a gun shop and seizing thousands of records from law-abiding gun owners. Our names, our addresses, our social security numbers. That's Joe Biden arresting his challenger in the next election, a former president of the United States. And now a different sound. That's the sound of someone breaking into your home or business. The sound of crime destroying our cities and communities. That's how it all starts. They let criminals back on our streets. Millions of illegal immigrants pour across our border each year, including military-aged men from all over the world. And enough fentanyl to kill every man, woman, and child in this country. This is the scariest sound you will hear when you live in a communist country. That's the sound of losing your freedom. The sound of always living in fear. I'm Hung Cao, retired Navy captain running for United States Senate. Believe me when I tell you, if America fails, there's nowhere else to go.
Starting on day one, I will seal the border and stop the migrant invasion into our country. We will begin the largest deportation operation in the history of the United States. Dwight Eisenhower right now has that record.
I will put my record up against anyone in terms of the work I have always done and will always do to ensure we have a secure border.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Think about this. For the last 2 months, Kamala Harris has been telling the American people that she's going to do things differently than Joe Biden, where she increased the cost of groceries by 25%. The average Michigan family is paying $1,000 more per month. That's $12,000 per year to afford today what they could have afforded when Donald Trump was president. The border is wide open thanks to our illustrious border czar, Kamala Harris, and her entire campaign has been to pretend that she doesn't bear any responsibility for the policies, even though she's the sitting vice president.
She has been in this life of privilege, I think, and being put in places where really not earned it. And, you know, it still continues to this day. After she was in the primary for the first election, she didn't even make it. We all know she was like booted out first. Then, all of a sudden, she's now Biden's vice president. I mean, really, can't make this up. Now, how crazy, she just jumps into a place again of being a candidate for the presidency. I mean, this woman didn't even go through the rigmarole of all the things that you have to do to be, you know, she didn't get any votes on it. We just put her there. And now you just want to take her and put her in a position of this much power when she doesn't really have a good track record. There's nothing to discuss on that. There's nothing.
Kamala Harris's entire economic policy is to tax American citizens and to force them to buy things they don't even want to buy that are made overseas. That's terrible for American workers. That's terrible for American taxpayers. Donald Trump's plan is to cut taxes on American citizens, cut taxes on American workers, and penalize corporations that are shipping our jobs overseas. That is an America First economic plan.
Today, I am also announcing that as part of our tax cuts, we will make interest on car loans fully deductible. We will have your energy prices cut in half It'll be cut in half within a period of 1 year from January 20th, which is the day we take office. And that's going to save you a lot of money. And that's going to in turn bring down the prices of everything, because, more than anything else, people tell me about the groceries. The groceries are groceries. And what they're talking about is food. Everything's going to be coming down when we do that. We're also going to get your interest rates way down. We will bring automobile manufacturing back to the United States at levels never seen before. And we will turn the United States into a manufacturing superpower again. It hasn't been there in many, many years. We had it started 4 years ago. The centerpiece of my plan for a manufacturing renaissance will be a 15% made in America corporate tax rate. In other words, if you make your product in the United States, you get a rate. So I cut it from 39% to 21%. Everyone said that was impossible. I got it done, and we had the best boom we've ever had. But that 15 rate only goes for those who make their product in America. They have to make their product here. Otherwise, they pay 21. And we will protect those companies moving into America and all of our existing companies with stiff tariffs placed on companies that don't move in. If they don't come in, if they don't want to make their product here, that's fine, but they're going to be tariffed. We have to protect our companies, and that's what we're going to do. The only way they can get out of paying those tariffs is to build their plants and factories in America and hire American workers for the job. We're going to hire American workers for the job. We will pass the Reciprocal Trade Act. If China or any other country charges us 100 or 200% tax, then we will likewise charge them a 100 or 200% tax. We will become energy independent like we were just 4 years ago. 4 years ago we were energy independent. Can you believe it? And then we were going to become energy dominant. We will be dominant within a matter of months, and we will make so much money. We are going to drill, baby, drill.
So the economy was flourishing pre-COVID under him, and then even at the conclusion of his presidency with COVID, he had gotten it back into very good shape. The inflation rate was very low, despite the lies you've heard from Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. 9% when we came into office. No, it wasn't. It was 9% after you drove inflation up to that level. And that was due to all the government spending underwritten by a Federal Reserve that printed endless amounts of money, and has, as a result, made your life a lot more expensive. And this is a Washington trick. Normally traditionally you think, well, how do they raise taxes on you? Well, they would raise taxes by voting for a tax hike. That's not the way they do it now. They print money and then they tax you with inflation. So you are paying for all of this government spending by paying 40% more for X. That's how that works. And so, if you didn't understand how the system worked before, boy, we've gotten a crash course in it during these last 3.5 years.
And we can make these the 4 greatest years. We'll turn it around so fast that your head will spin. We're going to boom like we've never boomed before. Fracking like we've never fracked before. We're going to frack. We're going to bring back the car business like it was 50, 60, and 70 years ago. We will deliver massive tax cuts for workers, and we will have a policy that I think is so great. No tax on tips. No tax on overtime. And no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. No tax.
Jewish Americans and Arab Americans recognize that what's in the best interest of Israel and Palestine is peace. And Donald J. Trump was the president of peace. Peace through strength. Stop the killing, get Americans out of harm's way, and focus on building a peaceful globe. That is how you help Palestinians. That's how you help Israelis. But most importantly, it's how you help American citizens, is peace.
Trump was president of the United States. We didn't have conflicts breaking out all over the place. The world had a relative peace to it. President Trump was arranging for the first time those bilateral peace deals between Israel and various Arab countries. He was able to keep North Korea's nuclear ambitions and kind of saber rattling in check. He was able to strike up a relationship, although at times adversarial, with China. He was able to talk to Putin while still being tough on Russia. He was able to compel NATO to meet its obligations for defense spending. The NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg was bragging at one point about Trump's ability to get member countries to actually pay what they owe so long as that pact is going to exist. This is the actual track record. And of course, under Biden, it's just been one catastrophe after another, costing American lives, costing American tax dollars, costing all sorts of instability around the world, costing millions of lives between Russia and Ukraine, sustaining that war with no obvious attempt to end it whatsoever, playing with fire, really, because you're looking at a very nuclear-armed power. They have the most nukes on the planet, Russia. But what are we doing? What is the point of all of this? Whose interests does it serve? And how many lives need to be destroyed in order to achieve whatever mission you have?
We, the people, have a big opportunity this November to save our country. It is way past time to put aside our differences and to think clearly and decisively on all the information that has been put out there to make an informed decision on who would be the best leader of our country. This is the first time, I think, in my lifetime that we've had 2 candidates in the presidency back to back with proven track records. I mean, if you were living under a rock for the last 8 years, then I wouldn't expect you to know this, but there was better results under Trump. Better. Now we have inflation. You see it in your wallets. You see it at the gas. You see it at the food store. Hello?
I will deliver law, order, safety, and peace, and I will protect those who protect us. The good news is that we have a plan to fix it. We're going to fix it. We're going to fix it fast. Nobody is going to stand for open borders. Nobody is going to stand for a bad military. Nobody is going to stand for education that's not proper. We're moving education back to the states. You're going to be running your own education. Keep critical race theory and transgender insanity. We're going to keep it the hell out of our school. We're going to keep that insanity out of our school. And as I said, we will keep men out of women's sports. Low taxes, low regulations, low energy costs, low interest rates, and low inflation so that everyone can afford groceries, a beautiful car, and a home. Very basic. Working Americans catch up. We're going to put a temporary cap on the credit card interest rates at 10%. People are paying 28% interest, 25% interest. I will always protect Social Security and Medicare with no cuts. We're not going to do anything with Social Security, but they're going to destroy Social Security because all of the migrants coming in are going on between Medicare, Social Security, other programs, and nobody is able to afford it. I will settle the war in Ukraine. I will end the chaos in the Middle East, and I will prevent, I promise you, World War III. We're not going to have World War III. And right now, we're very close to having it.
You know, this non-voting of Trump due to your hatred isn't going to show us, you know? You're not going to show me anything. Oh, I didn't vote for him, so, gotcha. The gotcha is going to be that you're going to suffer too. That's not really smart. Not really smart. But we have a lot of stupid people in this country. Stupid. Yes, we do.
We will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America healthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you, Pennsylvania. God bless you. God bless you, Pennsylvania.
I love Venn diagrams, so I just do. Whenever you're dealing with conflict, pull out a Venn diagram, right? And so, the 3 circles. And so,
if you want a president who will stop at nothing to protect you and your family, I hope you're going to vote for a gentleman named Donald J. Trump.
Well, there you have it. My 2 cents. I hope you enjoyed the video, but more importantly, I hope that it opened up some eyes to the fact that we need a strong leader right now. The choices couldn't be any more clearer. Trump's proven track record shows us that he can get the job done. And Kamala's and Biden's disastrous agenda has caused just a terrible time in this country. So with that, and let's just say one thing too, Trump's ego, right? We know how much this guy likes to boast and say he does everything the best. He's the greatest. He changed this. He did that. So with that, I think that we should look at that as an example of him trying hard to prove that. And when he tries hard to prove that, after 4 years, he can say, I did this, I did that, I did this. That means it was good for you. So let's go, get out and vote. Unless you're voting for Kamala Harris, then don't go vote. But I'm going voting early tomorrow so I don't run into any shenanigans on election day. We all should get out there and vote way before election day and swamp the vote. Okay? See you in November.